you pick yours? Like, what do you do?
I'm doing a rye IPA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like IPAs. I don't think we've ever had a rye.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of a newer thing.
to remove any excess burns, maybe ops, some of the most
and more. We'll have the latest on road conditions in just a moment, but I want to show you the latest conditions on ABC 15 Desert Doppler. We had a powerful storm move right through the Northeast Valley, bringing some flooding rain. We are under a flash flood warning. This is a very dangerous situation for that northeast pocket of the valley, including portions of the Loop 101 until 11:15 this morning. Notice, though, that the heaviest rain has pushed off to the northeast. So even though we're not seeing that heavy rain, flash flooding could still be a threat for you. So keep that in mind. The heaviest rain is pushing now over that Maricopa County line into Yavapai and Gila County. Payson, that's heading towards you. Strawberry, that heavy rain that brought flash flooding to the valley is heading your way. We also have another area of heavy rain, again, over parts of the I-17, where we've seen at least some minor flooding along I-17 near Camelback, also Missouri. Again, keep in mind that flash flood threat will continue for that northeast pocket of the valley, and that is where ABC 15's Katie Connor is live, showing us that flooding situation.
We are just south of Deer Valley here on Scottsville Road, just one of the many parts of Scottsville Road that is flooded right now. Take a look. You can see all the running water here. We can see Scottsville police blocking off the road right now, wanting people to avoid this area. Just checked in with officials, and they say several parts of Scottsville Road and Pima Road are closed right now because of all this flooding. For more on how to get around that, let's send it over to Mallory.
Yeah, and I want to show you another spot that you're going to want to avoid, Loop 101 right at Princess, because of some flooding there.
our chopper is headed to the I-17 and Greenway. We're going to check out weather over at the I-17 and Greenway.
flooding. We are still under a flash flood warning until 11:15 for that northeast pocket of the valley. You can see that a lot of the rain has started to lighten up a little bit, but that doesn't mean the flash flood threat is done. And we are seeing another batch of heavy rain starting to move into that same area, so be on alert. Now the heaviest rain pushing to the northeast, Pace and Strawberry, heads up, this is heading your way. We have ABC 15's Jason Valentine near I-17 in Greenway, where we've got some flooding this morning, Jason.
All right, so we have some flooding on Greenway. This is Greenway going under the I-17, which is up here. And I just talked to one of the representatives from ADOT who said this was not a situation where the pumps weren't working. This is a situation where it was just too much rain, too fast. I'm going to turn you around so that you can see under here. Just a little while ago, this was all flooded with water, but ADOT crews have been able to come in here and they were pumping the water out to those drains. They still have to get some sweepers in here to get rid of that debris, but other than that, we kind of dodged a bullet here, guys.
And Jason, a lot of the issues have moved from the freeways onto the side streets. So another flooded area that you're going to see here is going to be Scottsdale Road. Let's hop up to this. Closed off at Deer Valley because of flooding there, so Tatum's a good option for you. And then we have a crash, and it sounds like it is because of this weather. Camelback Road at Miller Road, so that is closed off right now. Indian School is a good option. And then a look from our ADOT camera. Slick Roads on State Route 51 right now. In the southbound direction at Indian School, you do have a crash off on the right-hand side.
All right, Mallory, we have been tracking standing water across some of our highways as well as water rescues across the valley. And you can see this video here. Water rescue near Cave Creek Road in Hatcher. We've got more information on abc15.com, and we'll be tracking it for you throughout our 11 o'clock newscast. So we'll see you then.
Is just one of many parts of Scottsdale Road that flooded right now. Police are wanting to remind everyone at home, if you don't have to be on the roads, please stay home. If you do have to head out, you will be redirected around in surrounding neighborhoods. So best piece of advice, avoid Scottsdale Road if possible. Reporting from Scottsdale, Katie Connor, ABC 15 News.
All right, thank you, Katie, for that. And take a look at this. This is not far from where Katie was. Just an incredible scene here. Hayden and Happy Valley Road. You see that U-Haul stuck in all that high rushing water. Certainly dangerous and scary moments for the people inside of that truck. There's a driver and a passenger in there. Nobody else around in this spot. Again, we've been told the people are okay, but it looks like all they can really do is just kind of wait this thing out. Their back tires are pretty far down into that mud. So Air 15 continuing to keep an eye on it. We will continue to keep an eye on it as well. But now we want to get to meteorologist Iris Hermosillo. Iris, it is amazing how much water came down and how quickly.
Yeah, in such a short amount of time, Danielle. We were watching it all through this morning. Some spots picking up over 2 inches of rain. That particular area that picked up 2 inches of rain right near Dynamite Road and Pima Road, so just north of the Loop 101. But all along the Loop 101 down into Paradise Valley, we saw some of the highest rain amounts, and you can just see just a few of the ones I've listed here. Union Hills Drive and 32nd Street, over 1.5 inches. Even spots along I-17 and Thomas picking up over 1 inch of rain. So it's no surprise that we're seeing some of this flooding that we're tracking around the valley. We are under that flash flood warning until 11:15 for this area right here in that northeast pocket of the valley. That green polygon that you see there, that was a flood advisory that just expired here at the top of the hour. But again, that most dangerous situation right in that northeast pocket. The rain, though, as you can see in the green, really starting to taper off a bit. We're seeing some pockets of heavier rain, but it's not as heavy or as widespread as what we saw earlier. That doesn't mean the threat is over, though, for flooding. So still stay alert in that area. And if you live north of us in Payson or Strawberry, that storm that brought us the flooding rain is now moving your way. So Payson, Strawberry, if you need to move to a higher ground, if you are in any low-lying areas, and know that you are going to get this drenching rain heading your way. Across the valley, some more scattered showers out to the southwest. We do have that chance for storms in your forecast here as we go through the day. I'll break down how high those storm chances are for the rest of today, and we'll look ahead at the weekend and when we'll finally start to dry out, Danielle, in just a few minutes.
All right, Iris has been keeping a close eye on this all morning long. Thank you. We've also got some viewer video to share with you. This is one of our viewers driving near Thomas and Miller in Scottsdale. You see those windshield wipers working overtime there. And of course, flooding, always a major concern. Iris was talking about that on Facebook Live earlier, and a lot of you were asking about the I-17 in Phoenix. So ABC 15's Jason Valentine, he's live near I-17 in Greenway for us. Jason, what are things looking like?
All right, so we're at I-17 in Greenway. Here's Greenway going underneath the I-17. And at one point, about an hour or so ago, this was all flooded underneath here. I'll turn you around so you can get a good look under the overpass here. Like I said, this was all flooded out just as of about an hour ago, and crews were able to come in here and basically sweep the water to either side where there are drains and get that out. I just talked to one of the ADOT representatives who told me this was not a case where the pumps were not working. The pumps were working just fine, but there was just so much water, it overwhelmed the pump station. That pump station is right over there, and crews were here working to make sure it was keeping up and make sure that it was in good condition as it was pumping that water out of here. Now that the water's gone, the street sweeper here is busy just getting some of the debris out of the road because there were some big rocks that had come down off of the hill. This is what happens. These big rocks come down off of the embankments surrounding the overpass, and they just flooded right out onto the road. So as soon as this street sweeper gets done getting rid of those rocks, they're going to open Greenway back up. But the good news, like I said, is that this was not a situation where the pump stopped working like we had Tuesday night, where Indian School, or I-17 was shut down at Indian School pretty much for 4 or 5 hours because the pump stopped working. This was simply a situation where it was the pumps were overwhelmed, but ADOT feeling like they really dodged a bullet, able to get things cleared off as quickly as they have.
Yeah, that's certainly some good news. We're seeing some progress there. Thank you, Jason, for keeping an eye on that for us. Now, of course, we've also heard some reports of several downed power lines. That can mean some outages. So we checked SRP. They had less than 100 customers impacted, but nothing compared to APS because of where this storm hit. So here are some of the latest numbers. At the top of the newscast, they were reporting 12 outages and about 4,700 customers without power. But let me zoom in here for you. Right here in the Scottsdale area, that's one that has multiple outages, about 326 customers affected there. And then up here, not too far from Greenway Road and, or not Greenway Road, excuse me, I-17 and Thunderbird here. If we click on this one, this is going to be one of the big ones. You've got more than 1,700 people without power in that area. And just a little bit farther over here, if we go with that red dot there, that means more than 1,000 people impacted. Looks like service interruption to a major power line there, and that has knocked out power to more than 1,000 people. So certainly something that we will continue to keep an eye on. There you have it, just over 1,400 people without power in that area. So again, check on your neighbors if you can. Of course, even though we've got some storms, it's not a good time to be without that AC. So we'll keep you posted as the day goes on. Now to some other news that we're following. The search for a suspect after a shooting inside a Glendale apartment complex this morning. ABC 15's Megan Thompson has what happened and who police are looking for.
It's a gated community, but behind these bars, a shooting took place between a suspect and a man who works to keep this complex safe. ABC 15 was on the scene as this was breaking right around 2 a.m. You can see that security guard there. You might be surprised to see him, a man who was shot, standing, talking. He seems fine. Well, this may have been a completely different scene if that guard had not been wearing a bulletproof vest. We are told he's a private security guard working overnight. Glendale police say the suspect and the guard got into some kind of confrontation. That's when the suspect pulled a handgun, firing and hitting the guard. That suspect ran off. Police setting up a perimeter and bringing on canines to catch this guy, but right now still no luck. Police describe the shooter as a black male, 5'9", weighing about 200 pounds, wearing all black and a red do-rag. What's also still unclear at this time is what sparked that confrontation in the first place. We will stay on top of this for you. And also, if you have any information, you're asked to call Glendale Police. In Glendale, Megan Thompson, ABC 15 News.
Kidnapping and sex assault charges. That's what this 44-year-old is now facing. Deputies say Calvin Lee Fox had a gun when he kidnapped a woman near Greyhound Park in Tucson. Well, then he's accused of driving that woman to another location, sexually assaulting her, and dropping her off at a restaurant. That is where she was able to call 911. We've also got brand new video of a bad crash in Phoenix. That intersection of 19th Avenue and Union Hills was closed for this investigation. 2 cars involved in this, and 1 person is in critical condition. A child was also taken to the hospital. Investigators say they're not sure yet if this crash was weather related. 113 degrees, that is enough to make you sweat in seconds, and prolonged exposure can be downright deadly. Well, that was the temperature inside the apartment of 49-year-old Priscilla Games when she was found dead on Wednesday at Scottsdale Road and Curry. The air conditioning at the Santa Fe Court Apartments has been out for a week. A family friend tells us she had a medical issue, but that those issues were pretty well controlled.
I know that she was well controlled. I monitored her regularly, and I know that the heat had to have played a part in it.
ABC 15 has learned if the autopsy determines her death was heat related, the apartment complex could face negligent homicide charges. Coming up, something is lurking in the water. A Valley teen sharing her bout with crypto disease, and she is not the only victim. And that leads to our poll of the day. Does that illness make you want to avoid public pools and water parks? Just hop on abc15.com to vote by clicking 15 links.
ABC 15's poll of the day is brought to you by Sanderson Ford.
A quick look here at some more viewer video. The rain certainly creating some dangerous driving conditions. This was on State Route 51. So we certainly appreciate you sending all those pictures and videos to share at abc15.com. Just make sure it is safe to do so when you're taking those pictures and video for us. A health alert now hitting pretty close to home. Right now there's an outbreak of the intestinal disease crypto, and Maricopa County health officials are linking it to water parks. 19 cases have been reported, and Cameron Albers is one of them. Her mom says that yesterday was the first time in 2 weeks the 15-year-old didn't sleep for 17 hours a day. When Cameron was awake, she was either in the bathroom or doubled over in pain. They'd never heard of crypto until now, and Mom especially is pretty angry that water parks and public pools don't warn about the possible infection.
Curled up in a ball and just dry heaving and shaking. It wasn't like anything I had seen before. We didn't get the opportunity to protect ourselves better, or to maybe not go to the water parks.
Now, someone with a healthy immune system can recover from crypto in about a week, but a compromised immune system like Cameron's takes a much harder hit. Up next, a split-second choice to save her own life by taking another's. A Glendale woman sharing her story only with ABC 15.
And Air 15 keeping an eye on this ongoing flooding situation. A flash flood warning in effect for at least a few more minutes. This U-Haul stuck in the mud and the water. We're going to keep an eye on this, and I'll show you your most accurate forecast for the rest of today next.
Now to a story you will only see right here on ABC 15. Shoot or be shot. That's the choice that one Glendale woman had to make. She talked to our own Navita Fergani about pulling her trigger before the other guy did. This was the scene early Monday morning near 59th Avenue in Camelback. Carol Ann Miracle's just 4'11" and 85 pounds, but her size doesn't represent the amount of fight she's got in her.
I didn't want to kill him. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't ask for him to come up and put a gun to me. So I had to do what I had to do.
She's not facing any charges yet. The county attorney is reviewing the case, which is standard procedure. Arson in a house of God. That is what Buckeye Police says is to blame for this fire at an abandoned church near County Road 85 and Miller. We told you about this fire last month, and investigators now say the arsonist broke into the building around 3:30 in the morning and set the place on fire. Crews had to go on the defensive for part of that fight. A Craigslist meetup ends in death for one man. Tempe police say Martin Valenzuela, he was set on fire and left for dead. Valenzuela reportedly met Mikel Martin online before having him over at his apartment last month. When Valenzuela passed out from drinking, police say Martin set Valenzuela and his room on fire.
There are bad people out there, people that want to hurt you. It doesn't matter if you're male or female, it doesn't matter who you are. There are people that will look to victimize you, and in this case, to kill you in a horrific manner.
Martin is in jail, charged with first-degree murder, arson, burglary, and a host of other charges. In Buckeye this morning, investigators need you to keep an eye out for two missing people. We've got the flyers you need to see. Please take a look at your screen. Police are searching for Daniel Federico. He hasn't been seen since May. Officers tell us he's a diabetic but has a history of drug and alcohol use. And of course, that search continues for little Jesse Wilson more than 2 weeks after he vanished from his Buckeye home. That boy now front and center on the website for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Jesse is supposed to start 4th grade this week, and there's a desk right there in front of his school that will stay lit until he's found. Well, Pistol the puppy, he is getting a second shot at life. You may remember this little guy. He was just 7 weeks old when he was abandoned at a Mesa shelter last month. His ears had been cut off. PETA now offering a $5,000 reward for any information, but you know what? All that stuff's behind him now. Animal Control received dozens of essays from people wanting to adopt this sweet little guy, and workers say they found him the perfect family. Happy to say he will be going home tomorrow. And happening today in Scottsdale, Marines are giving this mural some much-needed TLC. The Corps created this landmark last year next to the Civic Center Library. It commemorates the Marines' service and sacrifice, but you know how that sun, wind, and rain have certainly faded parts of it? You can stop by and say hi. They'll be out there now until 4 o'clock this afternoon. All right, back to Air 15 up over a water rescue. This is at Hayden and Happy Valley. Remember that U-Haul truck we showed you earlier? Yeah, this is what they're trying to do here. That truck's still stuck in the mud. There are 2 people inside. They were actually just walked out by Scottsdale firefighters. There they are in the white and red shirt there. So happy to see they were able to get out of the truck. Now we got to see how long it's going to take for that truck to get out of the mud. Meantime, the Phoenix Herpetological Society passing along this look at some flooding. This was at their facility, 78th Street and Dynamite in Scottsdale. We're told the animals there, they're doing okay, but that area certainly hit hard today. And Iris, I'm surprised you still have a voice because you have been Facebook Living all day.
Clear my throat.
You've been on the air all day, keeping people updated. I mean, this thing came in hard.
Oh yeah, and you know what? It started out as light showers in the West Valley, and all of a sudden we moved that moisture, the rain moved into a part of the atmosphere that had a little more energy, and boom, we got that drenching rain over that northeast pocket of the valley. That's how quickly monsoon storms can go from showers to some dangerous thunderstorms. Right now, as we look live with our Mayo Clinic Valley Cam, what a different view from what we were looking at earlier. You couldn't even see the highway here from this view as the rain was coming down so heavy. You can still see that obviously the roads look a little bit wet out there, but as far as that heavier rainfall, it is tapered off across the Northeast Valley. Still some light showers, but at least that drenching rain no longer falling in that area where we were seeing those flash flooding issues. And we're even seeing the sunshine over downtown Phoenix here, but we are not in the clear yet for our storm chances today. So let me take you around with ABC 15 Desert Doppler first. That flash flood warning has been allowed to expire in that northeast pocket of our state, but you may still encounter some areas of running water, possibly some water on those roadways. So still use caution if you are driving around that area in that northeast pocket of the valley. And notice this, some of the areas that got hit hard earlier this morning, still seeing some light to moderate rainfall
right around Deer Valley and areas just off to the east. So over Deer Valley Airport, also right where the 101 meets the State Route 51, still seeing some of that rainfall there. So that could aggravate some of the flooding we've already seen in that area. And this rain pushing to the northeast up to Cave Creek, where we are looking at a higher concern for some drenching storms, is that area out near Strawberry and Payson, right where Yavapai County crosses over into Gila County. This is the same batch of rain that moved through the valley and brought that flooding rain. It is now pushing up northeast up to Clint's Well. So really use caution and be alert if you are in that area. Again, that higher terrain northeast of the valley now getting the drenching rain. Things have quieted down over central Phoenix, where we had some areas of heavy rain earlier, so that's a good news there. We're going to start to dry out for a bit, but there is still a chance a few storms could bubble up as we go into this afternoon. So again, don't let your guard down. Although our atmosphere has been pretty worked over, our chances will drop just a bit, but again, could still see a few storms bubbling up as there's still some moisture out there, so we could still see that happen. And as you look across the Mogollon Rim, those storms really starting to bubble up there. It's been much quieter there this morning. We're seeing a lot of lightning with these storms, and that threat of flash flooding will continue across spots along the rim. So our storm chances at 20% through 3 o'clock, and then after that dropping those chances to just a 10%, meaning an isolated threat for storms as we go into this evening. Now our temperatures have cooled down nicely because of that rain. We're only at 82 degrees in Phoenix. Look at these temperatures around the valley. Those spots hit the hardest by the rain, sitting in the 70s, only 73 degrees right now in Deer Valley. We will get a little hotter though as we go to this afternoon. I'll break down your hour-by-hour temperature forecast, and we're also going to talk about the weekend. Danielle, some signs that we're finally going to dry out. I'll show you that forecast in just a bit.
All right, a lot of people in those flooded areas probably happy to hear that. Thanks, Iris. From the wardrobe to the cabinet, we'll tell you about Donald Trump's plan for Ivanka if he's elected president. But first, we've got some more video from our viewers to share with you. Thanks so much to all of you who sent in pictures and videos. This is near Arizona and Jermaine in Chandler. We're back after this. In Democracy 2016, Hillary Clinton jumping to her largest lead yet, 48% to Donald Trump's 33%. That's according to a new McClatchy Marist poll. A lot of Republicans are upset after a week of controversy in the party. And President Obama is also talking about Trump. Here's ABC's Maggie Ruley in Washington. Donald Trump campaigns today through Speaker Paul Ryan's home state of Wisconsin, yet he still refuses to endorse Ryan for re-election in Congress, although he did say,
Paul Ryan's a good guy, actually. Paul Ryan's, no, he's a good guy.
And Ryan, while he stands by his endorsement of Trump, he still has his own concerns.
He's had pretty strange run since the convention. You would think that we ought to be focusing on Hillary Clinton, on all of her deficiencies.
Trump's running mate Mike Pence is left doing damage control, issuing a blanket endorsement for all Republicans in Congress who are seeking re-election. Hillary Clinton staying on message during a campaign stop in Las Vegas, bashing Trump and his business practices.
He has cheated contractors. I take that personally.
And also adding,
I've met people who were destroyed by Donald Trump. So take a look at what he's done, not what he says.
President Obama took the GOP nominee to task again, calling his claims of a rigged election nonsense.
If Mr. Trump is up 10 or 15 points on election day and ends up losing, then maybe he can raise some questions. That doesn't seem to be the case at the moment.
Trump just can't seem to escape this week's controversies, and hashtag #NextTrumpGaffe has even been a trending topic on Twitter overnight. Maggie Rulli, ABC News, Washington.
And speaking of the Trumps, Ivanka Trump, she has her own shoe line. She's even hit the catwalk, but she could play a much different role if her dad is elected president. When asked about possible women cabinet members, Donald Trump reportedly named his daughter as a candidate. Wasn't long before Hillary Clinton pounced on that idea by tweeting, "We know a guy with a binder." She, of course, referring to Mitt Romney's comments on gender equality during the 2012 election when he said he'd reviewed binders full of women for positions in his administration as governor of Massachusetts. Well, she says she was just trying to help, but investigators say, no, it's animal abuse. We're taking you inside the home of an accused dog hoarder. But first, we have more rain to show you. There was a lot of it this morning. One of our viewers sending us this from Scottsdale Quarter, that of course right near Scottsdale Road and Greenway. Send your pictures and videos in to share at abc15.com. We continue to follow breaking news. We want to get right back to this active water rescue happening in North Scottsdale. Air 15 over the scene there. You see that U-Haul still stuck right in the center of that flowing wash there. We brought this to you live all throughout the newscast this morning. So we want to get out to Katie Connor. She's on the ground for us near Jomax and Pima. Katie, what's happening there?
Right now, rescue crews are trying to figure out how to get these two cars that have been stuck in this wash out. Now, this happened about an hour and a half ago. I actually just talked with one of the drivers. He said he saw the car in front of him, the silver car, go in, saw them driving. He followed, then all of a sudden his car stalled. He says he tried to put it in reverse. He couldn't get it to move, and then he had to just sit there waiting in his car as the water continued to rise. Finally, firefighters showed up, and he says when he opened the door, he couldn't have even stepped out and walked through all of that flooding safely. He actually had to get on the firefighters, their engine, and had to be driven out of this flood area. Now, I just talked with an officer who says they have several washes just like this one that are flooded right now. They want to remind everyone at home, if you don't have to be on the roads, especially here in North Scottsdale, avoid this area. You don't want to end up like these people. Another issue, because there's so many road closures right now, tow trucks can't get in here to get these guys out. So this is going to be a mess all day long. So best piece of advice is stay at home. Danielle?
All right, Katie Connor on scene there at Jomax and Pima Road of that water rescue. I misspoke a little earlier. I said Air 15 was over Katie's scene. I apologize. Air 15 is actually over Hayden and Happy Valley Road. That's where we've been following this U-Haul stuck in the mud there. There were two people inside. ABC 15's Megan Thompson, she just literally watched everything unfold. Megan, what happened, and is everybody okay?
Danielle, everyone is okay, and actually it was a very smooth rescue. We had them able to just walk out of the car with the help of some crews. Here, so now step behind out of the way so you can check it out right now. But Scottsdale crews say they've been doing this all morning long. They've been having to deal with these different water rescues and helping these people get out. This U-Haul, we're actually being told, had 3 people inside at the time that they were going out. And we have live pictures as well as video of that rescue as well. But pretty much what happened here was these people just got stuck in this roadway with those flood, and you can still see that the water is rushing right now. And again, like Katie Connor was just mentioning, Scottsdale police saying, and fire saying, stay off the roads if you can. If you don't have to be out, just don't. They said they need some time to clear all these roadways out. The water needs time to recede. So definitely give yourself that time when you're traveling on these roadways, or just stay home if you can. Again, all of those people who are inside that U-Haul are okay right now, and the rescue was smooth, able to get everybody out without any issues. Danielle.
All right, some good reminders, Megan. Glad everyone's okay. Thank you for that update. Right now, developing at 11, we are getting a look inside the world of a Glendale woman who's now facing felony animal cruelty charges. Our cameras capturing all the filth in this home near 67th Avenue and Peoria. Lori Collins was recently served an eviction notice, and police found 52 dogs in the backyard. 2 of those dogs were dead. One of them died on the way to the vet. The homeowner tells us Collins and those dogs caused $15,000 in damage. Now, Collins claims she was the victim of a Craigslist rental scam, and her daughter is coming to her defense.
They said they were going to help us when we moved in, because the house was supposed to be for sale and not for rent. They never did.
This whole scenario, I've never seen anything like it, and she did take advantage of us, and maybe we were too nice by it, but guess we learned our lesson.
We are expecting an update on those dogs' conditions later today. Well, take a look at this. An SUV crashing on its side today after taking out a wall. This happened near 8th Street and Northern in Phoenix. We brought this to you as breaking news this morning. The SUV is pretty banged up, but we're still waiting to hear how the driver is doing and what might have led to this crash. And a similar scene playing out in Indianapolis. A driver crashing right through a fence into a pool and then gets trapped in her car. Scary stuff. She was underwater for at least 6 minutes before a diver could pull her out. Medics did give her CPR before taking her away in an ambulance. No word yet on her condition. Making headlines across the nation, the man who tried to assassinate President Ronald Reagan could be freed as early as today. We told you how a judge granted John Hinckley Jr. conditional leave, and he will live with his mother full time. Hinckley was in a mental health facility near Washington, D.C. for more than 3 decades. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity for that 1981 shooting. Some pretty disgusting accusations coming out about this guy this morning. He's the mayor of Stockton, California. He was just arrested by the FBI after a 3-month investigation. Anthony Silva is accused of giving teenagers alcohol and secretly recording them at this summer camp. Video was found on his cell phone reportedly showing underage campers playing strip poker. He's even heard encouraging them to take their clothes off. The arrest comes less than 100 days before Stockton's next mayoral election. Well, it is a story that is simply heartbreaking. Twin 15-month-old girls died after being found in a hot SUV in Georgia. Just hours ago, that girl's father was arrested and charged with involuntary manslaughter. Witnesses called 911 after spotting the girls in the back seat. When officers got to the scene, people had the girls in a kiddie pool with water and ice packs. They were trying to cool them off. Their mother was in the hospital at the time. George Zimmerman back in the headlines this morning after a fight at a Florida restaurant. We got our hands on the 911 calls made by Zimmerman, and he claims he was talking to a group of people about having shot Trayvon Martin in self-defense when a guy came up and punched him in the face. That is when Zimmerman called for help.
Okay, thank you. And what's going on there?
This man just punched me in the face.
Okay, is he still there?
Yep. He said he's gonna kill me.
What started the argument?
He recognized me.
Your bond will be released?
Zimmerman shot and killed 17-year-old Trayvon Martin in 2012. He was later found not guilty of second-degree murder. Well, aerial spraying resumes today in Miami as officials there try to limit the mosquito population. This, as we are also learning, a lot of airlines are now offering refunds if you have travel plans to any Zika-affected areas. JetBlue is letting customers get their money back or exchange their ticket. American is giving refunds to pregnant women who've booked trips to Latin America, but you've got to have a doctor's note to qualify for that. Delta and Spirit Airlines both asking you to contact them directly. This next story, it's likely going to give a lot of you the creeps. How could it not? An Oregon family waking up to a shocking discovery. This strange woman was walking around inside their home at night. The homeowner woke up, saw things around the house weren't as they seemed, so she checked the surveillance video, and this is what she saw. The stranger rummaging through their stuff. At one point, she's trying on the family's clothes. In the video, she's wearing face paint, even makes herself a snack, all while the family is sound asleep.
It's scaring to not know what's in the dark. And she just strolled around like she just knew what was in the dark.
The woman left but was arrested a short time later, and she's now facing a number of charges. Rescuers saving several lives after a home explodes. Coming up, incredible video of the rubble left behind. And now to some more viewer video of the weather conditions, this time near Loop 202 and 36th Street. You can see the rain just pouring off of the roofs there. Thank you to all of you who sent in your pictures and videos, certainly helping us tell the story this morning. We've got your most accurate forecast coming up in just minutes. But first, our wild news of the week. A shark rips the mask off a dentist from Texas who was scuba diving in the Bahamas. Dr. Stephen Cuthbert's son-in-law captured the attack with his GoPro.
I look up without a mask, but I can see right here this shark head and all these teeth, and that shark is, I'm 6'1", 190, and it's bigger than I am.
No thanks. The shark bit his face and his knee when he got out of the water. The first word out of his mouth was cool.
one guy in the very beginning, he was like picking away debris, like where the front porch used to be, and he could hear him, so at least we knew, that, you know, they were okay.
A house explosion leaving nothing but rubble in Connecticut. Now 7 people are in the hospital trying to recover from serious injuries. Investigators are looking to see if a possible gas leak led to this blast. Emergency crews had to work quick to rescue 4 people who were trapped under that debris as the house collapsed around them. Oh, it's just that sound freaks me out. This is a new video from the Mojave Desert right here in our state. Chuck Brown stumbling across a rattlesnake den. He attaches a flashlight to his GoPro. He puts it on a selfie stick to see inside the snake's home. A mother and her babies were found inside. Yikes, I'd probably leave that alone. You can see all the day's top videos on Right This Minute every day at 2 o'clock on ABC 15. So SeaWorld is looking a little empty these days, with the parks blaming for record low attendance. And you know, talking about death, it's never easy, but Joe lets you know why the best time to discuss your funeral is right now.
And our flash flood warning may have expired, but we are now under a flood warning for the northern portions of the valley. I'll show you what that means and what to expect as we head into this afternoon in your most accurate forecast. So this is a live look right now at some of the flights departing out of Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. If you were watching the Facebook Live we did earlier on Iris's Facebook page, you saw Chris going through some of the cancellations and delays because of weather. Well, some of those flights have actually departed, but they're going to be about a half hour to an hour late to their destinations. But if we scroll down here, some of the flights all the way up until 2:30, 2:45. For instance, this 2:45 flight to Palm Springs, that one's going to leave an hour and 10 minutes late. So you might just want to check ahead of time if you are going to be departing out of Phoenix Sky Harbor. You might have a little bit of a delay because of the domino effect from that weather earlier this morning. And keeping an eye on Wall Street for you right now. The Dow is up 162 points, just right under 0.9%, sitting at 18,514.
Well, SeaWorld seems to be struggling to keep its head above water. Attendance is down at its parks, and so is the company's stock. In fact, it plunged to an all-time low yesterday. The company blames the drop on several things, including a drop in tourists from Latin America because of recent tropical storms there. It's also important to note that SeaWorld did not mention anything about the controversial 2013 documentary Blackfish. Meantime, Amazon is taking its business to new heights. The Seattle-based company unveiling its first branded cargo plane at the city's annual air show. That is huge. Pretty amazing. Amazon pushing to deliver packages at an even faster pace with little or no overnight fees. In all, 40 Boeing jets have been leased, 11 of which are already in use to deliver packages for Amazon's prime customers. And American Airlines moving its flight training operations center out of Phoenix. It's headed to North Carolina and Texas. The move is an effort to consolidate pilot training centers. We're told the facility's 65 workers will be offered positions at the other locations, but that merger is set to wrap up at the end of next year. Well, things are looking pretty good for Valley-based Taser International. In fact, the Phoenix Business Journal is reporting that revenue is way up. The company credits the spike in sales to law enforcement nationwide looking to be as transparent as possible. Many police departments, including right here in Arizona, are turning to that company's body cameras to use for its officers. And Starbucks' plan to satisfy angry workers with summer pay hikes seems to have backfired. In fact, some workers say the company started cutting back hours, so even with the pay hike, they're earning less money. Workers also might lose their health insurance coverage because health benefits are only offered to employees who average 20 hours a week. The company has acknowledged the complaints but says those issues are isolated. A consumer alert for anyone out there who owns a Jeep. Hackers say they can actually take control of your steering and your brakes. Some scary stuff here. Two cybersecurity experts say they could hijack those systems as long as they were plugged into the Jeep's electronic system. So during testing in Las Vegas, they actually managed to drive a Jeep into a ditch and pretty close to nearby homes.
Joe Ducey with producer Courtney Holmes here, talking about paying for funerals, something none of us really want to talk about.
And that's the problem. You don't talk about it, and then you end up spending way more than you needed to.
And you know what? Experts say you need to try to take the emotion out of it, even if it's a sudden situation. It's hard to do, but treat it like a car deal. Look online for reputations, for best prices, and try to get somebody else involved who could take that emotion out of it.
And the best way to get around all of that is to pre-plan. How are you going to pay for it? Do you want a trust? Do you want insurance? And most importantly, what do you want to happen when you pass away?
So it's a conversation you should have right now, and we'd like you to weigh in on the Let Joe Know Facebook page. Tell us what you think.
So this is certainly not your grandma's McDonald's. This is the Mickey D's of the future. Check it out. 6,500 square feet of fast food glory, as they're calling it, just opened in Missouri. Some of the changes include fancy soda machines, a high-tech play place, and unlimited fries.
Fries will come out in this really cute basket, and it's just like if you're at a Mexican restaurant with the chips and salsa. Our customers love our fries, and so we want to be able to provide them more of what they love.
Now, to get the endless fries option, you do have to dine in. You can get them by walking up to a kiosk to order your food, and at this location, an employee decked out in server-style uniforms will bring your food to you. No word yet on any plans for a Valley location like this one. So we saw all that rain coming down fast earlier this morning. A lot of people wondering, so is this going to continue for the rest of the day?
There's still a chance for some storms. So important to not let your guard down. We're going to have to keep watching our skies very closely, although our atmosphere has been really worked over with all of that rain that we saw this morning. Still can't let the guard down completely. Let's talk about what's happening now, though, across the valley as we're looking at mostly cloudy skies as we look live with our Mayo Clinic Valley Cam. Still a bit of wet weather across parts of the North Valley, but much lighter than what we were seeing earlier. Let me show you now. ABC 15 Desert Doppler. Things really much quieter than what we had at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, even 10 o'clock here this morning. The flash flood warning allowed to expire, but we are still under a flood advisory now, or that just issued rather, until 2:15. It does include the northern portions of the I-17, the State Route 51, also the Loop 101 up in Scottsdale, and also Cave Creek and Carefree, Anthem included in that flood warning. What that means
means is that even though the flash flooding threat has dropped, a lot of washes will still be flowing and those roads will still be wet. So you really still have to use caution as you are heading out the door in those areas here as we go into this afternoon. Again, you can see that no longer are we seeing that heavier rain, just some lighter rain in spots like Cave Creek, also Anthem and near Deer Valley. This could aggravate some of the flooding though already in those areas, even out near New River. So make sure you still keep a close eye as you are driving around maybe that area here as we head into the afternoon. The rest of the valley, quiet right now. Let me take you out to where it is getting a lot more active though. All along the rim, Payson, you've got storms producing some quite a bit of lightning just to the north of you. Out near Strawberry as well, Clintswell, Happy Jack, seeing some of those strong storms and even more storms all along Winslow about to cross over the 40. So now the focus turns to these dangerous storms over the high country as we are going to continue to see that flash flood threat. There's a flash flood warning for an area just south of Young as those storms track to the northeast and are producing some heavy rainfall. A lot of lightning with these storms also out to our east near the White Mountains rather. Also around Flagstaff, some of those scattered storms, those pushing off to the northeast, and northeast Arizona now has that threat for flash flooding as these storms move into that area. A few storms just east of Kingman too. Again, this is a big impact for I-40, so if you've got to travel across the high country, keep that in mind. Now off to our south, I've been keeping a close eye on these storms firing up over some of those mountains southwest of Maricopa, south of the I-8. It's likely they're going to struggle to move into the valley again because our atmosphere has been worked over, but we are not completely in the clear. That's why I've kept that 20% chance for storms in the forecast through about 3 o'clock, then just an isolated threat as we go into this evening and tonight. Temperatures will be cooler today because they cool down those temperatures once that rain moves through. So we are only in the low 80s in Phoenix now. We'll climb into the upper 90s here this afternoon. That flash flood warning watch in effect for northeast Arizona as those storms are going to bring some very heavy rain to that area. But I want to show you something. Our dew points dropping in the last 24 hours, and check this out. Drier air in California as seen on water vapor imagery. That is going to start pushing into our state. That will finally start to dry us out a bit as we head into the weekend. So tomorrow, just a 10% chance, an isolated chance for maybe a storm. Not too confident that we'll see anything though. And by Sunday, we clear out those storm chances fully and we finally get a break as temperatures get hotter though, near 110 Sunday, Monday. Danielle, those storm chances though will be back by the middle of next week.
All right, well, maybe you've been trying to stay dry by hanging out at Cardinals training camp at University of Phoenix Stadium. Well, there's more to love this weekend because the Bird Gang opens up the red and white practice to the public from 2 to 4:30 p.m. right there at the stadium, of course. You can grab a lower level seat starting at 12:30. Admission and parking are free. There's a kids zone. Players will be signing autographs, so all sorts of excitement happening during and after practice. And don't forget Cardinals football. It is back on ABC 15. The Cards hosting the Raiders next Friday in Glendale. Kickoff is at 7, but the pregame starts at 6:30, and we will have live coverage starting at 4 right here on ABC 15. We'll be right back.
ABC 15's Poll of the Day is brought to you by Sanderson Ford.
Okay, so for our poll question of the day, we wanted to know if that crypto outbreak will keep you away from public pools and water parks, and 67% of you said, yeah, you're going to skip those. The rest of you say no. We have some more viewer video to show you. This is out of Scottsdale from Thompson Peak Parkway and Bell Road. Yeah, you see the flooding there on the ground and coming down on those roofs there. And actually, the city of Scottsdale just updated us on some road closures right now. So take a look at your screen. You've got Joe Max Road between Pima and Scottsdale Road. That's shut down. Also, Happy Valley Road between Pima and Scottsdale Road. And Scottsdale Road between Deer Valley and Happy Valley Road. Again, yeah, so there you go. Again, Pima Road between Joe Max and Dynamite. Just want to make sure that you had those ready for you. Okay, here's a look at what we're working on for the Now Arizona at 4 o'clock. A manhunt intensifying for the person who pulled the trigger after a security guard was shot, and a story that rocked the nation after multiple family members are massacred in their sleep. But we've got brand new details about that case. Plus, we are 1 week away from taking on the Raiders, the Cards, of course, so we're taking you to Cards training camp. And finally, you know, it's not just people who are enjoying a break from the heat. Take a look at this. This is from viewer Mark Heyer. He sent us this video of his dogs playing in some pretty deep puddles. He didn't tell us exactly where this is, but those dogs certainly enjoying themselves there.
Oh man, well luckily they're having a good time in the rain. Keep an eye out for still some storms that could fire up this afternoon, drier through the weekend. Thanks for logging on to ABC15.com. I'm meteorologist Iris Hermosillo. We've had quite a morning with drenching thunderstorms bringing flash flooding to the area. We will be under a flood warning, parts of the Phoenix Metro at least, that north central portion until 2:15 this afternoon. And to our northeast, we've got flash flood watches posted for that northeast pocket of our state through this evening, as we could see some more flash flooding across that northeastern pocket of our state as storms move from the Mogollon Rim up to the northeast. Here in the valley this afternoon, a 20% chance for storms. Even though the threat not looking as promising after all of that rain this morning, we can't let our guard down completely. There is still a slight chance that we get a few pop-ups going into this afternoon that could produce some pockets of heavier rain still. That 20% chance in the forecast through about 3 o'clock. After that, those storm chances taper off to just an isolated threat, and tonight looking quieter going into tomorrow morning. And as we go into tomorrow, we're actually going to bring in some drier air that is going to move in from the west. You saw it there on that water vapor imagery, and that drier air will help drop our storm chances. So through the rest of the afternoon, the focus will mainly be along the rim and areas to our northeast, but again, the valley could still see a few pop-ups here over the next few hours. So stay alert and keep that ABC 15 mobile app handy. Then going into tomorrow, we lose some of that monsoon moisture. Storm chances continue along the rim. Just a 10% chance here in the valley, although tomorrow things not looking too promising for rain, but that 10% chance for possibly an isolated storm that could drift in. And then by Sunday, we clear out those storm chances completely as that drier air takes over. And we'll be drier Sunday, Monday, even into Tuesday. The high country will keep at least a slight chance of storms going through the weekend. They dry out a bit further Monday, Tuesday. It won't be until Wednesday and Thursday of next week that we start to tap into that richer monsoon moisture again, and those storm chances will start to go back up. But we're going to catch a break at least for a few days. Now today's temperatures will struggle to warm a bit because we've had all that rain this morning, especially through the central and northeast pockets of the valley. That does include Phoenix, a high of only 97 degrees. Out to our west though, we'll make it back into the hundreds, 70s today in Flagstaff. And across the valley, you'll see a lot of upper 90s, but a few low 100s too here
as we head into this afternoon with partly cloudy skies. Tonight's temperatures dropping into the low to mid 80s across the valley. A nice start to your Saturday, a low of 82 degrees in Phoenix, down into the 50s and 60s across that northern pocket of the state, the Mogollon Rim rather. 97 today, then we get hot as we head into the weekend. As things dry out, our temperatures will climb, and by Sunday, we're all the way up to 109, staying near 110 Monday and Tuesday, but as that monsoon moisture works its way back in, our temperatures will start to drop again by midweek.
I definitely, I do like to say that me and my mother stayed there to motivate him. We kept him on the right path as much as we could.
So sorry for your loss.
Brianna, Superintendent Johnson says he will get to the bottom of it and officers will be held accountable. Do you believe he's sincere?
We don't want to speak on that.
I can address that. There's a whole lot of unanswered questions. So I certainly hope that Superintendent Johnson is sincere. They made the video available earlier than they ever have in the past. In the past, we've had a fight for years to get videos released. Ronald Johnson and Laquan McDonald. So this is a step in the right direction. If we're showing us the video is a step in the right direction. There are so many unanswered questions about why, how, why the video wasn't working, what was in these officers' minds. From seeing the video, it almost looked they were close to high-fiving each other. And to hear one officer say, F this, I'm going to be suspended for 30 days, gives us an indication of how these officers felt about how they were jacked up. And while they're saying this, Paul O'Neill, 18 years old, was lying face down on the ground, bleeding after having been shot in the back while he's unarmed by Chicago police officers. That has to stop. It's great to have body cams, even though we still don't know what that body cam would have shown, or if ever will. But even with body cams that are turned on by police officers, we still have police officers shooting unarmed black men as they're running. And that is what needs to be done, I would hope, when Superintendent Johnson says, let's get to the bottom of this. Officers cannot exact their own street justice. They cannot play judge, jury, and executioner. That's what happened here today. And their attitude after the shooting, while Paul lay dying on the ground, handcuffed, demonstrates that.
Brianna, if you had one message both to Chicago police and the city overall, what would you have to say?
We just want answers, the truth. That's it.
The problem is we always look for answers. The problem is we don't have any radical people in power that would just look at what's right and say, we need to do this immediately. There's always procedures in place and FOP contracts in place and IPRA has to investigate and the investigation is going on. It's always these procedures that we have to wait on and wait for answers. We need some more radical people to say, look, I just saw that video and that officer did wrong and he needs to be disciplined immediately. We need a radical superintendent to be that way. So Superintendent Johnson should be that way. And he may violate some of the procedures or codes they got in place to protect these officers, but he needs to.
Can you tell us just how difficult that was to watch that video? I know you and your mother left after 15 minutes or so. Can you share us a little bit about that, since that's what the news is today? Yeah.
I know that when our bodies were in there, we was really hurt. It was disturbing, very disturbing. Not the way anything's supposed to be done.
Okay, can you tell us why you felt it was important to see the video?
For the truth, I don't want anyone to lie in my face and tell me and try to show my brother's image. I wanted to know the truth myself.
Okay. That's it?
That's it for now. Thank you very much.
Please spell Rihanna's name for everybody.
Yeah. Brianna Adams.
One N.
One in.
Adams, A-D-A-M-S.
And also your mom.
Michael, one more question. Those of us who haven't seen all of the videos, is there a police camera beyond the body cams that shows the shooting? And if so, can you describe the number 6, number 7, and Or
The video that we've seen, and there may be more video coming, I don't know if IPRA knows, obviously the investigation is still going. You see a police officer shooting at the car as the car drives by for no reason, it's pretty graphic. After the car accident, you hear gunshots. After the police officer's car slams into the Jaguar, because the police officer's going the wrong way, you then hear as they're running through the pathway, one officer is unable to climb the fence, but you hear a bunch of gunshots. We have not seen any video that shows the actual shooting of Paul.
even from an overhead camera?
So far, even from an overhead camera. We're actually doing our own investigation also to try and uncover some video. I think what needs to be done, in addition to everything that's been said, is I'm calling for a special prosecutor, one who is unbiased, to come in and start investigating now. Not 6 months from now, not a year from now, to come in and start investigating now to see what potential charges should be done and also take control of the investigation. You have the police department doing their own investigation. You have IPRA doing their investigation. But it's time for a special prosecutor to come in and start looking at this right now, and that may in fact help build some faith within the community.
So is your conclusion that it was an execution based on the autopsy and what you could draw from the video today rather than actual seeing the shooting?
Well, I saw enough in the shooting, I saw enough of the video to know that I believe it was an execution. It is clear, and the police have even announced, even though we have been unable, the autopsy report may not be finished, but everybody seems to be saying that he was shot in the back, and everybody seems to agree that he was unarmed. So that is what I base my opinion on so far. I think a special prosecutor needs to come in and look at all of that and go through the ongoing investigation and monitor what everybody is doing, so no mistakes and no cover-ups will be done from this day forward. Thank you.
Good.